Hello and welcome to this Android programming tutorial, and today we're gonna make a very simple Android application. So this is a continuation of another video I have on YouTube, so if you haven't checked that out yet, please do, because that shows you how to set up the Android environment so you can start making applications. So after you've set up your environment, follow the video. All we need to do is fire up Eclipse. And now while that's starting up, let me just show you a quick sketch here of my beautiful application. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have a single page basically application which has a text box here. It's technically called an edit text, where a user can enter here, and if you click the button, then the program will take the 100 centimeters and convert it into inches. So the inches will appear here, whatever the result is, and there's a label here says centimeters. There'll be a label here saying inches, and that's about it. So Eclipse has started up. We need to create a new Android project. We're gonna go File, New Android Application Project. We're gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it Converter. We need to give it a application name, a project name. I'm just gonna leave that as it is. Then we need to give it a package name. What the package name is it's a globally unique identifier, especially if you want to upload it to the Play Store. So it needs to be unique among all of the applications in the Play Store. So what people usually do is you use your domain. If you have a website, you use your domain in a like reverse manner. So I have a mbwasi.com. I'm gonna com.mbwasi. Whatever the application name is, you can call it whatever. So first name dot last name dot whatever. So it doesn't matter as long as it's globally unique. It's fine. Now here there are a few options about what is the minimum uh, Android version you want your application to support. So by default it's set to 2.2, and here if you hover the mouse over it, there's some information here, and it says if you support 2.2 and upwards, you reach approximately 95% of Android devices out there today. So let's see here. Let me use you can find some Google publishes some nice bit of information about the Android versions which are currently in circulation, and the number of devices using each version. So I'll put this link in the description. So here you can see every 14 days they update this chart. So you can see that Froyo, which is 2.2, which is the one we are supporting, and upward. So Froyo and upward, Froyo has 12% of the market. Eclair 2.1 has 3.1. So you might consider going lower, because 3.1 is still quite a sizable number of people. So depending on your application, you might want to include those people too, because those are downloads you're leaving on the table if you don't support these users. So Froyo is 12, 2.3. Most people, as you can see, are on 2.33, 2.37, over 50%. Very few on Honeycomb, and 25% on Ice Cream Sandwich, and again a few on Jelly Bean. So you have to make a decision here basically. You might have to do a little more work if you want to support everyone. I mean, you can go all the way back to 1.5, or you can just leave it like this. I'm gonna leave it like this because this is a very simple app we're going to do. Now there's a target SDK here. The target SDK is the if you hover the mouse, it gives you some information. So it's the one you are saying this is the one I've developed it for, specifically for, and I've tested this. And if you put the target SDK at this level, Android will not do any automatic backward compatibility stuff, because otherwise your app can sort of look weird in in future versions. So if you put this too low, it can use some Android will do some automatic like backward compatibility stuff to try and make your app work in future versions. And the compile is the one it's compiling against. So again, some information. So it's usually set to the current highest available Android version. There's a theme here. A theme is the look and basically the look of the app, the look and feel. So Holo is the new sort of design and style guideline that Google is pushing for Android. So we're gonna have a Holo Light theme. So let me just see if I can get some Holo. So this particular look is Holo. This design style that the Android people say you should go for. So just gonna leave it at that. Next, now there's some like options here. Create an activity. This basically means this tool will automatically create like a basic skeleton for us for our app. Create custom launcher icon. This is a new tool that they're including in the Android SDK. Basically, it helps you make your application icon, and we'll see that in a minute. Other than that, just leave everything as it is. This is the application launch icon creation tool. So there's some basic defaults you can use here. You can pick, of course. Eventually what you want to do is go into like Photoshop, create your own icon, and then have different sizes for different screen density on devices, and different screen sizes and things like that. Or you can pick one of the clip art pictures. Probably not the best of ideas. Close that. What I'm gonna do is go to the text here, and you can simply type a name and it'll sort of create an icon for you. I'm gonna call it conv for converter. Let's say square. We make it square. We increase the padding a bit, maybe without the dot. Yeah, I change. So let's see, background color to the black. Let's see, circle. No, I don't like circle. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Now in the real world, this icon is pretty crucial, because that's when people are scrolling through the App Store. I mean, the Android Play Store. I'm gonna get sued here. When people are scrolling through the Play Store, this is one of the first things they see. So you need an eye-catching icon. It's good to have. But since it's our first app, that's fine. Next, what type of activity you want to create? A bunch of options here. I'm not gonna go into all of those. I don't even know what half of those are. Just go for blank activity. That's fine. Give a name to your activity. I'm gonna leave it as default here. Main activity is fine. Navigation type, you can select the type of navigation you want in your action bar here and in your activity. So there's tabs and swipe. If you want one of those applications where you can like go left, swipe left to right, swipe with tile strips, and drop down from the action bar. Now you can see as soon as you select one of these, you get an error here, because we are supporting 2.2, and this tabs and swipe doesn't work on 2.2. It only works from SDK 11, which I believe is, what is SDK 11? 11 is Oh, it's somewhere in between honeycomb and gingerbread. I don't know what it is. So it's 2.3 something probably. I guess it's 2.3. I mean 3.0 is STK11. So if you want to use any of these, you would have to go back and change the minimum supported Android version. I'm gonna choose none. We're making a single page application. There's no need for any navigation. Click finish, and then to go off, the tools will churn and generate our basically our skeleton app for us. You can see it's appeared there, and if you look at the bottom right here, something is still happening, loading data, building, and there we go. We have our app. I'm gonna try and minimize a few things here so we can get some oopsie daisy. Right. So this is the package explorer. You can see our project is here, converter. If you see the res folder here, then the layout folder, and then the activity main XML is what's open right now. Activity main XML. This is a layout file, and what a layout file is what defines the way a layout looks, basically an activity looks. So you can view it in code. So this is XML, and this XML is what defines the look of this layout. You can see there's a hello world here included by default, and I click on that, press the delete key on my keyboard, and just get rid of that. Now what we want to do is design this basically. So let's go back. I'm gonna put a medium. You can see like this is a visual design tool, so all of the widgets and views which Android supports, you can find them in here. A lot of stuff going on in here. So what we want is a what's called a text view. So I just take one of here, like a medium size one. I want the text to be of a medium size. Drag it on the take it and drag it on the canvas here. Now after I have this medium text, I want a field to enter my text in. So I want this here, so the user can enter the centimeters. Oops. So go to text field here. You can see there are a bunch of text fields, and these are all pretty much the same text field, but like this number field is limited to numbers only, so the user will not be able to enter any characters. So because we only want him to enter the centimeters, we don't want him entering ABCD or anything like that. So take the number here and drag it onto the field. Now you can see the position is a bit off. I'm just gonna adjust it, put it there, maybe drag it a bit from that side. You can see the visual tool is kinda, it's a little difficult sometimes to maneuver with it. That's why a lot of people spend a lot of time in the actual code trying to make it look exactly the way they want, because the visual tool is so, I mean, now it's much better than it used to be, but still. So then we want the result of the conversion. So again, I'm gonna take the medium, drag it here, place it, and I'm gonna take another edit text. These text fields are technically called edit texts. Another number, position that. That's not the best position ever. Yep, I like that more. Right, so now what we need is a button. The button the user will press to convert centimeters to inches. Go back to Phones widget. There's a button here. Just paste it there somewhere. Now what I want to do is edit some of the properties of these items. So let me minimize this. So if you see this panel on the right here, I'm gonna select this medium text. Now the first thing I want to change is the ID. The ID is the way you identify a particular view. These things are each called views. Button view, so and so. So I want to change. I mean, it's given a default ID here, text view 1, but it's not the best name in the world. So I want to know what this is. So I'm gonna rename it. And something terrible is gonna happen as soon as I do. Just bear with me. I usually like, you can name him anything, but I like to give him some meaningful names, and it starts with what it is. So it's a text view. I'm gonna leave the text. Oops, my keyboard is funny. I'm gonna call it text centimeters. As soon as I press enter, something goes terribly wrong and my layout is changing. This is because these items are arranged in relation to each other. So this field here was basically saying I should be on the right of edit text 1, or of text view 1. But now that I've changed the name of text view 1 to text centimeters, this guy no longer knows where he should be because the reference has changed. And if you look at the code, you will see this is called a relative layout. So they are arranged relatively to each other. So what I need to do is change the reference that these other items have to the new correct names. So if I go into the code here, you can see this is the ID right here. This is the new ID I gave it. I'm gonna select that and copy that. I'm just pressing Ctrl C on my keyboard. So this edit text here, you can see this edit text 1 is aligned to the bottom of text view 1, but we got rid of the name text view 1. So this is why you have this yellow line now, because it doesn't know what text view 1 is anymore. So we need to change it to the new name of text view 1, which is text centimeters. So I'm gonna change that here. Now you can see the alignment is back. Now I'm gonna change the name of this one here. Edit text, edit centimeters. Again, I'll leave that edit there because later it makes it much easier to refer to these things. As you can see, everything went to crap again, but that's fine. Now this is the inches one. I'm gonna call it text inches. Now don't worry about the layout going all over the place. We're gonna fix that in a minute. Edit text inches. So this is the edit text for the inches, and the button I'm gonna call it button convert. Now what I need to do is basically, you see all these references to the old names have gone yellow because basically there's no idea what these are anymore. So I'm gonna just take the new names where it says edit text. Oops, not edit text. So this one is referring to the text view, referring to edit text 1, but edit text 1 is now edit centimeters. So just copy that into here. Here also. Control save. Once you save is when it checks again for all the errors and removes the yellow lines. You see here it's referring to text view 2, but text view 2 is now text inches. I'm gonna copy that, put that in. Oops, text inches, just type that. Laziness. You can see most of the yellow is gone. We still have the yellow on the text, and I'll explain that a little later. Basically, this is not an error, but we are not following some recommended programming conventions. So basically, it's checking for best practices, and it's telling us, okay, this is not a best practice. We have a hard-coded string, and I'll explain that later. So we have our app looking almost like we want it. We just need to change the actual text itself. So check that. Go to the right here again. I'm gonna centimeters. Put a little, and I'm gonna put inches there. Oops, it's a little annoying, but fine. Button. I'm gonna put. Let me put the. Try to be consistent. Right. So here, this layout is not the greatest thing in the world, but it'll do. Right, so we have our layout looking the way we want it. So now what we need to do is take this layout and link it to our code, so we can, when the user types whatever value he types in and presses convert, the program does what it actually needs to do. So I'm gonna expand the package view again, package explorer. I'm gonna go to the source folder, SRC folder, expand that. Go to my package. Remember when we started the project, we gave it a package name, so that's right here. Go to this main activity. This is automatically created for us by the tools when we created the project. Now you can get rid of this, because our project is not going to use any menu thing, but I'm just gonna get rid of it for clarity's sake. Get rid of that. Now what's happening here on onCreate? The onCreate method is one of the methods that gets fired during an activity's life cycle. Now what is an activity life cycle? Again, we turn to Google, and they have a nice, you see everybody is searching for activity life cycle. They have a nice little diagram on the Android developer site, where you should be spending most of your time. So when an activity is launched, between when an activity is launched and shut down, it goes through these sort of phases depending on what the device is doing and what the user is doing. So when we first launch an activity, it calls the onCreate method, and then it calls the onStart method, and then calls onResume. So when it first gets created, it's gonna call this onCreate. And in this onCreate method, we usually set the content view. Now the content view is basically, what is this activity going to display to the screen, and we wanted to display our XML file, this thing, activity main.xml. So we go set content view r.layout.activity main, which is the name of this file. Without you don't need the .xml. Now you're gonna be spending a lot of time getting to know this stuff. I mean, for this simple application, you pretty much only need onCreate. But depending on an application, you might have to use a lot more of these, or all of these, because of the way Android is basically made to work. Because for example, if you're using your app and you switch out and you're using another app, Android might decide to kill the first app you were using, because it's trying to free up memory or some other resource. So you have to sort of watch for these events. So when Android decides to kill your process here, it will fire one of these events on pause, let's say. And so if you have any data you need to save, you probably need to intercept these events and do your thing in there. Okay, back. Now, I said we set the content view r.layout.activity main, but let me try to pin this. Ugh, it's annoying. That's really annoying. How do I? Mm. Ah, there you go. God damn it. Okay. Uh, Set content view ARA. Now, what is ARA? You never created an ARA anywhere, so ARA is automatically generated by the Android SDK and Android tools. So what ARA is it's sort of a link between these layout files, these XML files, which are not Java code. So in your source code, Java can know really nothing about these XML files. So the Android SDK has an automatic process of sort of reading these layout files and other XML files and turning them into Java basically. So this R class will contain all of these layouts and all these views, but R is completely automatic. You should never touch R. R, by the way, is in here. I believe you could go to Gen. You see there's an R class right there. You can open it. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, much human sense anyway. You should never have to touch that. So just leave that alone. Just know there's an R in there somewhere. So R.layout. So we're going to R and we want a layout file, and the layout file we want is activity.main. And so if we were to launch this application right now, it would launch this activity and it would show this layout in the activity. Now what we want to do is take let's just think what our program does. It's going to take the value in here. I mean, when the user presses the button, it's going to take whatever value is in here, convert it into, do some math on it, convert it into inches, and put out the result in here. So we need to link these three things. These three views need to be linked in the code. Now the way we do this is depending on the type of view. So the first one is an edit text. We go edit text. Again, give it a meaningful. There's a method called find view by ID. And by the way, to bring up these sort of autocomplete things, I'm pressing Control space. So when I typed find and then Control space, it brings up suggestions on what I could be looking for. So I want to find view by ID. Just gonna press enter here, and then I'm gonna go R again dot ID because I'm finding the view by the ID dot, and it'll pop up all of the names of those views we created in the layout file. So we want the edit centimeters here. Now you can see there's a bunch of red. First of all, edit text. Java basically has no idea what an edit text is. We need to import android.widget.edit text. Just sorry if that was too quick again. To remove that, what I did is simply hover my mouse over this and it will pop up these suggested fixes, and I choose import edit text, and you can see here it gets imported android.widget.edit text. You can see there's one more error here. Find view by ID finds a view and returns a view. It does not return an edit text. Basically, it doesn't sort of magically figure out that this is an edit text and I should return it an edit text. So we have to cast it. So what we do is edit text, and now everything is hunky-dory. We find a view, we cast it into an edit text, and now it sits in our edit centimeters. We want to do the same thing for the inches. Copy paste. There's a lot of this going on in programming. Inches, just gonna change this edit, edit inches. So that's that. Now we need a button. Same deal. Convert. Now we're casting to a button. Again, we're gonna find the view by ID. Again, Java has no idea what the button is. We need to import. Now, okay, so what do we want to do now? What we want to do is when a user clicks the button, we want something to happen basically. So what we need to do is capture that click, click or touch. I always call it click, but the touch event on the button. So there are a few ways you can do this. Simple one, if you only have a few events you want to capture, is, for example, this button. We take the button convert dot, we set an on click listener on it. So set on, you see there's a suggestion here already, and then here you go new, again on click listener. Finish that off, it will generate that automatically. Now you need to go to the end here and add a bit. I don't know why they don't just include that automatically, but there you go. There's some red again. We need to import. Just hover, import on click listener Android view, and that's fine. So now every time this button is clicked, it will fire this on click event. So whatever you want to happen when the button is clicked needs to be in here, in this on click event. Right, so what do we want to happen when the button is clicked? We want to get this value, convert it to inches, and put it out on this field. So I'm gonna get the value from edit centimeters dot, sorry about that, where we want to store the value. I'm gonna declare a double, call it centimeters. It's gonna take the edit centimeters. Now the way you get whatever is in the text field, you go dot get text, now get text will return an editable. What you need to do is get text dot to string. Now again, this, finish that off, this will return a string. Obviously you can't store a string in a double, so there are some nice methods in here. Go double dot value of string. So what this does is, take whatever string you give it and tries to convert it into a double. Now you can see there's a red here. This is because of some Java basically stuff. We're trying to call a non-final variable edit centimeters in an inner class, so we need to make these final. There's a bunch of ways you can do this, but this is just Java stuff. This is nothing to do with Android. Final variables and inner classes and all that. Okay, so now we have taken the value from the edit centimeters when we've put it into this centimeters double. Now what we want to do is have a double for inches and take our centimeters value and convert it to inches. How do we convert centimeters to inches? Well, we turn to Google once again. That's how. It tells us 1 centimeter is 0.3 inches. Just gonna copy that value there. Go back. So we take our centimeters, we multiply them by whatever conversion value we have here. So now we have our inches, and now we need to take the inches and set it on our on the results text field here. So to do that, we do edit inches dot set text and put the inches in. Now of course set text is expecting a string. This is a double, so we need to do the reverse of what we did before, basically value of right. Pretty sure that's it. Now there are some cases we are not catching here because this is just a getting you started type of thing. So what if the field is blank, right? The program might crash. I mean, if the user hasn't entered anything in the centimeters, are we going to have a crash? Probably, but I'll leave that to you as a homework. Just you need to check it. If edit centimeters dot get text dot to string is empty, then don't do anything or throw up a warning or something like that. That's up to you. Now we want to run this. How do we run it? Well, I'm gonna run it on a virtual device, so go up here and click the Android virtual device manager. You can see I already have a few virtual devices here, so if you watch the first video, this shouldn't be too shocking, but I'm gonna create a new one here just for everyone's sake. I want it to be a Galaxy Nexus. I'm gonna call it Galaxy Nexus 4.2 is fine. Hardware keyboard present, I'm gonna leave that out. No front camera. SD card 100 should be fine. I'm gonna take snapshot. I explain all this stuff in the first video, so now you can see there's a error here, says invalid name. You can have spaces here, put an underscore, that should be fine. Okay, you're gonna create another virtual device. I'm gonna select that, click start, launch it, and that will fire up. Error. Okay, I know what this error is. There's basically a bug or something in these tools. There are a lot of bugs, but this one I just dealt with. Select that again, edit here in the RAM. You need to set it to 512, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's that. Start it again. There you go. Our virtual device is gonna fire up. As you can see, no one can write perfect code, not even Google, so don't worry about it. It's all about finding bugs and finding ways around them. Okay, I'm just gonna wait on that to start. This can take a while, the first time especially. I'm just gonna say a few words on this set on click listener. There are a few ways to intercept these click events. This is a very simple one, but as you can see, if I had say 10 buttons, this would get pretty cumbersome. So there are a few more ways you can do this. The one way I usually do this is you do an implements on, so your activity will implement on click listener. You can see this has produced an error here. Hover there. We need to implement the on click method. So just click add an implemented method, and it will create this on click thing. And in here you see this on click receives a view, right? So the view is the thing that got clicked. So what we usually do is we go switch in here. We put in a switch statement. Again, that was control space and then enter. We switch on the view v on the ID of the view. Is ID get ID? Yep. Oh god. So because let's say we have 10 buttons, right? Each button has its own ID. So we need to know which button has been pressed and sort of act on that. So we switch on the ID of the view that was clicked, and then in here we go right. So if it was the button convert ID that got clicked, then do this stuff. So we will just move whatever we have into here, and then we would, this is a little cleaner way of doing click detection. Now of course you have to make some minor changes. If you just move this into here, then these will no longer be visible. You need to move these outside. Anyway, that's more Java stuff again. Scope and visibility and all that good stuff. Gonna remove that. Right, we're back. This thing is still firing up. I'll wait until it does and we'll get back. Right, so let's start it up. You can see it's an Nexus. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna go to my package explorer. Now I want to run this application. What I usually do is right click the project here, run as Android application, and then you can see it's doing its thing here, launching. And if you open the console and you switch to Android, you should be able to see some info here. It's uploading the APK to the emulator. It's installing converter.apk. APK is the Android application sort of file type thing. So it's installing, starting the activity. So our, well, it looks quite terrible. The inches has gone all the way to the right. Anyway, let's see if it works. When I enter some centimeters in here, now you'll see that it hasn't. Okay, here we go. I thought there's another bug in which the virtual keyboard doesn't pop up, but I guess didn't happen this time. Okay, so you wanna, now the first thing you'll notice is the keyboard has come up with a numbers view. There's no ABCs, and that's because we chose the numbers keyboard. So the numbers, I mean text field. You can see input type here, it says number. So Android automatically limits the input to just numbers. So I'm gonna enter 100 centimeters. I click convert, and I get 39 dot something inches, and that is probably correct. Let's see here. 39. Yeah, well, so it works. And that's pretty much it. That's our first very simple Android application. Now you don't have to use a virtual device. You can use a real device. I'll make a short video on how to set up your phone for development. It's all pretty simple, but I'll do that next. Okay, so questions, comments in the comment field, please be gentle. Bye.